A brief kind of welcoming address for Platypus 5th International Convention. So thank you all very much for coming. We're excited to have a very kind of diverse group of speakers and events this weekend, all organized around the theme Utopia program. I want to point out a couple things. This is the program for the weekend. It's going to be your guide both in terms of where everything is being held, times, and it provides information on the speakers as well as a description of the panels. I also wanted to just point out for those of you who are kind of unfamiliar with Platypus or looking to kind of figure out more what motivates our project, that we have our statement of purpose here on the front page, and this is the kind of best place to start. Anybody who's wearing a Platypus pin, I think most people wearing a Platypus pin, will be able to answer any questions that you have about the organization if you'd like to kind of discuss that with us. So as you'll see, we have laid out here the theme for the weekend is the Utopian program. The basic kind of structuring question that we're asking is what possibilities might remain for a left whose goal is no longer utopian and whose path is no longer programmatically defined. We ask this kind of provocative question in hopes that it will receive some challenge from our speakers and challenge from our members in attendance and the audience members in attendance. We're basically trying to put these two related topics or related kind of ways of characterizing the left into productive tension with each other. So the question of utopianism today and historically, as well as the question of programmatic politics today and historically. And you're welcome to read over the theme as it's kind of laid out here in this little blurb. I also want to just kind of point out that there is a kind of roadmap for the weekend, including an actual street map in case you get confused as to where things are being held, because there will be some shifting around between buildings for tonight's plenary tonight. But I also want to just kind of point out that we organized the weekend and structured around three different kind of sections. So the first, which is happening in just a few minutes, is differing perspectives on the left. And for this, we've invited a number of left organizations from an international, drawing from international sources, to essentially present their projects and to try and account for their projects on the left today in light of the history of the left as well as kind of what they're attempting to accomplish. And it's an open platform. Unlike our plenaries and our panels, we're not necessarily asking specific questions of the speakers, but giving them an opportunity to just explain their project to an audience that likely to be unfamiliar with it. And then we'll hopefully have a good opportunity for some debate and discussion between the audience and the speaker once they've concluded. Following that, this happens this afternoon and tomorrow in the morning. Following that, tomorrow afternoon after lunch, we'll start with two concurrent sessions of panels. So there'll be two panels held concurrently for two sessions. So the first is what is imperialism, which will be held at the same time as the labor left after politics and utopia. And then the next session will be one panel on capital, history, and environmental politics, and a panel on Marx and birth critique, all of which is described more in depth in the program. We'll be closing the kind of main public aspect of the convention on Saturday night from 7 till 9 with a program that's defined around the thematic for the entire weekend, program in Utopia. So again, you can kind of make reference to that initial laying out of the theme. I think with that in mind, I'll just allow Gabe, once the tech stuff is all set up, to just kind of introduce our speaker and take it from there. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Yeah. There was a couple things I wanted to say. I'm Gabe from Platypus. These workshops enable various groups on the left to explain what they do and why they do it. So the focus of these 80-minute discussions are to better understand how groups on the left connect their activity to the political tasks of the present. Given that the projects in this session often express divergent approaches, we're asking you presenters to explain how they distinguish their projects from others on the left today. In doing so, they'll address not only how their organization understands the world, but how they understand the left itself, particularly in light of Utopia and program. So without further ado, Eirik Eiglad is a writer, translator, and editor, and since the early 90s has been involved in a range of left libertarian projects and movements in Scandinavia. His main fields of interest are to explore ecological philosophy, develop a municipalist politics, and exposing anti-Zionism. He's a member of the New Compass Collective in Oslo.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for being invited and for hosting me. I think it's a great opportunity. I'm looking forward to talk to a lot of you in the days ahead. I'm going to speak a little on some of the panels, and I hope we can have a discussion there. Here, I thought that what would be most appropriate would be to kind of give the basic outline of some of the political ideas that I think are unique to our project. And I'm also told that this would be some kind of an informal back and forth questions and answers. So I will try to make this as brief as possible, but just to give an overview of what inspires us and what makes us believe that we have something to offer. As I said, I come from the background of social ecology, mainly developed by Murray Bookchin, an American ecological philosopher. And the basic idea is that we need to focus on the way our societies are made, how they function, if we are to solve the ecological problems. And we can return to this, but what we're offering is kind of an alternative vision for society of what we would believe would be a more humane and ecological society, a rational society, if you like. And those ideas structure around what we call municipalism, or libertarian municipalism, or communalism. All these words can be like tossed out, but I will give a broad sketch of the ideas. What do municipalists believe in? First of all, it's focused on the municipality, as you would guess. And what we want is to kind of define what would be the basic political unit of a new society, of a socialist society, if you like. And we call for a very radical decentralization of power down to a human scale. And we believe that by drawing power down to municipalities and to let municipalities be the focal unit for political activism and for civic engagement, we believe that we provide an idea of what would be the framework, the basic structures of a new society. We believe that on the left, in general, and also particularly on the libertarian left, the anti-state left, the libertarian socialism, we believe that it's very ill-defined, those ideas. What would be the decision-making units? What would we mean by the direct democracy and so on? So, by saying that the municipality is the basic political unit, we kind of want to create or give the fundamental building blocks of a new society. But what do we mean by that? Because as everybody knows, there's nothing particularly radical about municipalities. We also call for direct democracy. We think that the idea of democracy as a form of people's government can be implemented within those municipalities. We call for a direct participatory democracy. That means that the municipalities would be restructured based on popular assemblies in neighborhoods and wards, and based on democratic decision-making, like majority rule, things like that in those, and to have those assemblies become the real decision-making forums within these municipalities. Now, it's obvious that this is not enough, and we call for non-hierarchy. One of the basic theses of social ecology is that not only are all ecological problems social problems, in the last instance, but that the very idea of dominating nature stems from the domination of human beings, by human beings of other human beings. And we think that to create a new society, we need to not only ask what could be the power, the institutions of power, how to make decisions, but also we need to address how we relate to each other and how social society is structured. And we call for a non-hierarchical society in that respect, and for a radical egalitarianism. We believe that having those institutions and bringing in direct democracy, we would give a form to the ideals of citizenship as some kind of a political humanism, as a way of being a socially engaged citizen, and also to create the basic forms for social freedom. And in addition to those things, we call, of course, for a libertarian culture. I'm rushing over the subject here, so we can go back to all of these issues afterwards. But in addition to non-hierarchy, we also call for secularism, like to put the attempt of putting power into popular assemblies and to make them into rational decision-making forms is a way of trying to bring reason into social affairs. And that means that people can reason and debate and try to develop a common interest. And I think that this is very important, not only for regarding human rights, ecological concerns, all those things, but it's a way of trying to recreate a common humanity and to make society become a common project. But this is not enough. Now, I guess people in this audience would say that, oh, that's nice ideas, but what about the economic? And we acknowledge that there cannot be any kind of democracy or any kind of popular government unless you actually control the economy, you control the means of production, you control socially important property. And we call for, quite logically, it may seem, for municipalization, that all all socially important means of production is placed under municipal control. It's collectivized, but by saying that it should be under municipal control, we give it specific focus in a way of trying to politicize the economy, to let economic issues be guided by those rational discussions, that it's a way of trying to bring ethics back into the economy, or to put the economy under, to put the ethics in the driver's seat, so to speak. I'm not sure if you can make that expression. And we believe that a way it can be visualized easily, we thought out, is to develop the commons. We have very strong traditions of commons in Scandinavia. In many different countries there are strong traditions, and this is, we believe, a way of rethinking socialism, and it means that we could redevelop it within a municipalist framework. And not just make something into state-owned industries or like protected land or something like that, but into real resources for communities. But this also deals with production and distribution, those things should also be placed under municipal control. We need to develop science and technology, but it should come in a different context than it is today. And essentially what this municipalization is aiming at is to solve the age-old social question, to end exploitation and domination by capital, and to actually provide the material preconditions for freedom that the popular assemblies or so would be kind of the fruits who can benefit from making all members of our communities able to come into these assemblies on an equal footing. It's not like today. There are a lot of concerns that needs to be made for the people to stand on an equal footing, and that's exactly what is attempted with this. But this is all well and good. Assemblies, non-hierarchy, democracy, municipalization, but crucial component of our political ideas is confederation, and the idea that you need some kind of regional or inter-regional or even international bodies that would coordinate the political and economic and cultural functioning of those communities over a larger scale. And this is our real alternative. This is the alternative to the nation state. It's the alternative to capitalism. That's the confederation. It's not the municipality. It's not the popular assemblies. We're not we believe that we must create councils for coordination of over larger areas, and also we don't believe in isolation or localism as a social ideal. We believe in cultural exchange. We believe in economic exchange, but we want to put a sharp distinction between policy making, which is the exclusive rights of the assemblies, and administration and coordination, which can be handed over to federal councils. And those, but still, we must remember that those that confederation is still a union of municipalities. It's political unity that we believe can have the opportunity of providing a dual power, becoming a dual power to the nation state today. And if we are able to kind of encourage and shift of power or a confrontation, it's certainly clear that political system will need a new constitution, and a new constitution that comes up as an alternative and breaks with politics as we know on all those different things, on all those different areas. That's a very brief kind of like a what do you call it when you say put up this list of the basic ideas, yeah, very brief and schematic outline, and it's not that I think that it's all this simple, nor do we have like all these very simple ideas on politics. I think that this is maybe what would generate the most of the discussion here. Precisely what could communalists or municipalists or social economists offer to the left in terms of political politics. Because I think it's really great that, and somewhat surprising, I must say, that the topic of this convention is utopia and program. And I think that it's a big we need to really bring utopia back into our politics and to learn from the dreams of how things could be, how things ought to be, instead of this, well, it seems like the left has dug itself in many different ditches, taking wrong turns, and I believe that a new discussion about where are we going, where do we want to go, what are our ideals, is crucial to develop a new left project for our time. I think also that the question of programs is crucial, and we could talk a lot more about that, because I think it can be the key to a new politics, and with all the confusion and all the disillusionment and the disarray that is on the left today, I think that we really need to ask what our political alternatives are, because these things are hard, and it's one thing is when we talk to each other, but how to convince people in the street, in our neighborhoods, in our cities, that's a whole different question altogether. So, as I said, we've been doing a lot of political projects. Right now, we're kind of in a stage somewhat like the Platypus, like more like an intellectual effort, if I may not insult anyone here, to kind of clear what is the premises for the left, what is the premises for a debate today. And and with the social ecologists in Scandinavia, right now we're in different groups. It's not like we have a party or a movement or a political organization at the moment. We do have projects with people working, very community projects in environmental organizations in Mainz and on certain participatory democracy projects. But we generally emphasize education a lot, and New Compass grew out of a need to provide a kind of an intellectual center for social ecology, and so we started a journal some years ago, but we found out that we wanted to go into a web journal because most was killing us. It's really to have an international journal. I guess some people know about these things. And we print books, and we hope to build. So New Compass is a relatively new project, like a couple of years old, and a small group, but that's also due to the fact that none of us are native English language speakers, and to put out literature in English is still more important to us than to put it out in Norwegian or other Scandinavian languages because fewer people read Scandinavian and so on. So I could have brought a lot of material from all throughout the 90s and the 2000s in Norwegian or Swedish or Finnish, but I brought some of the books here. Please do check them out. You will see that we have a kind of a broad area of interest. What we want to do is not only to create or provide social ecology theory, but also to provoke some discussions and so on. You will see that from this. Please just put the prices on the back and discuss the price. You can also take some of the journals, the community journals. I don't want to bring it back home, so please feel free to check them out. I think I've used roughly half an hour, so please just let's capable of that.
Does anyone have questions? Well, I can start us off. So, I guess the first question is, what do you think is to be done? This kind of basic, like the most basic question. What is your program for realizing the ideals that you laid out?
There's another half an hour. Well, we need organizations that are capable of that have a certain sense of coherency and political direction who can hammer down the ideas to a set of principles and bylaws, and then you need to fight for those ideas. I mean, on that level, we're not really discussing anything outreach. Yeah. But what we want to do is to focus our political attention both in the cities, in the municipalities, in the regions, and we seek to advance programs that will make not only our ideals visible to the public, to hammer down the maximum demand, so to speak, but also are able to deal with more immediate concerns in the program. And what is very, very essential to communalist organizations is to actually work on that aspect that can be called the transitional program. And we believe that the transitional program is not just a set of ideas that can challenge the existing system. We believe that it is the set of demands that links to the complete transformation of society, not just the challenging it, but really points to where how it can be reorganized, connecting the ideal to the immediate. And in a sense, we want to make our utopian ideals visible by engaging in specific demands. And here again, I need to focus on where we are unique, which is the demand for municipal control, municipalization, and popular assemblies, because that is also there is no demand as important as the transitional demands on how to make power shift into the organs. And we think that this is essential to clarify, because where do we want power to reside in the future society? And this is not sorted out. No, not in not even in socialist theory or social democratic theory or for communist parties. It's not really sorted out. There are talks of, well, nowadays it's a lot of talks of direct democracy or so, but talks of workers' councils, talks of a workers' state, and talk of entering into the nation state, and those are not really sorted out. And I think that if we look to the libertarian left, there are really three options that are open to us. Either we need to develop a consistent syndicalist approach, which would be based on transferring power to the trade union and to the local organizations of the trade unions, or it would have to be some kind of a council communist approach, council communism, or it would be a kind of communalism or a kind of municipalism. I don't see that anarchism provides any alternatives, despite much talk about collectives or communes or local control, community control. Advocacy haven't really sorted out what the basic institution of the future society would be like. And it could be, you know, 5 people living together, or it could be the Paris Commune. And it's a very under-theorized, to put it gently. And I think that we stress this municipalist aspect, the institutional aspect, so much because that is how our program or our approach differs from other leftist approaches by being very consistent. And I think that that is the one thing that we can offer, that it's kind of like our suggestions for how to make the transition into a new society, or to create a relationship with capital. But we advocate an organizational approach, a political approach, and a programmatic approach.
Grassroots movements that have emerged in Latin America and other countries of the world often emphasize policy which is independent from the state and is also unstable. Do you believe that these movements put communalism in practice, or are they a premature form of communalism? That's my first question. And my second one is, do you believe that the Communist Party will sometime in the future be necessary in order to make these ideas, the ideas of communalism, come true?
First question, I think it depends on what you, on what movements and what period, what countries you're talking about. But generally, I think that a lot of exciting things are happening. I think it's.
I was referring to Latin America.
Yeah, but I think that the movements of the landless, I think, or the what's it called, the homeless, in the cities there are interesting things happening both regarding peasants movement and urban movements there. Would I say that they are communals? No, but there are definitely a lot of points of reference. But I don't feel that they are often as theorized about it. They do have some have anti-state positions, and the more exciting part is perhaps how they kind of organize civil society in a sense, and how they promote direct action and exciting forms of collectivization. So, but it depends a little on which movements and so on. I mean, in the various Latin American countries too. But will a social ecology party or a communalist party be necessary in the future? I can approach that question from two angles. I can say that depends on what you mean by a party, and if you mean like an organized, coherent effort. I mean, a lot of the parties that exist today are they're not as efficient or coherent or consistent as they would like to be, or have and on the other hand, what do you mean by party? Like a conventional understanding. If you mean it as some kind of a consistent political organization, yes. Do they have similarities with the parties? Definitely. But will it be one that seeks to enter or take over or replace the state? No. But I'm not sure if I'm answering, because that's really yes.
Do the social ecologists have particular relations with more direct action goals and levels of
Yes, but social ecologists, yes, definitely. But social ecologists have focused much more on the political side. So we've been involved in these things more as activists, more as there's definitely a lot of connections and activism in those areas. But we have kind of focused much more on political education, even within those movements, and also on creating political organizations in those systems. But also some of the, I mean, Scandinavia is maybe famous for the vegan attacks or on meat industry, cars and things like that. I don't know anyone from social ecology being involved in that, but against the nuclear reactors, things like that, and road projects, definitely, and other projects. But Scandinavian direct action is kind of different wings there.
Okay, so the communalist alternative, right, the emphasis on reason in the public sphere, presupposes, a healthy functioning public sphere, and I was wondering what you thought about the commodification of the public sphere, and so there's this latent possibility, as communalists see it in potential freedom and reason, rather than somebody like Adorno, for example, talks about latent authoritarianism in late capitalism. And how do you deal with that? How does the communalist perspective think that the problem meets that language?
I don't see that we have any alternatives and trying to do our best we can. I mean, I don't see Adorno having any political or ethical alternatives that is worth mentioning, but as a peak, it's very Christian. So, but the commodification or the latent technologies, I think there are a lot of threats that face kind of a reasonable approach to, or to believe in these popular assemblies function as organs of a common rationality or reason or public reason. We don't believe that at all. We believe that these assemblies will be the fighting organizations, the fighting arenas for confrontation, for confronting capital, for expropriation, for the rights of minorities. We want to have a public sphere that is open, where you can come in, present your views, fight with your friends, or for issues that you believe in, and how you believe that schools should be run, what the curriculum should be like, how they should be, what kind of education they should provide, or health care, or the production, or the whole range of political issues that confront us, or should confront us, but that we're not allowed to kind of deal with in a direct manner. And I think that today's system fosters apathy and irresponsibility, and you foster the exclusion and you in a way cement the hierarchies that are in society. And we believe that these popular assemblies, we don't believe in that having a harmonious neighborhood and just opening up. I mean, just the threat from right-wing extremism or religious fanatics of one sort or another is enough to kind of like throw open the book. Do you see? No? Yeah. So, but we don't believe that. We don't believe that there is somehow a harmonious public just waiting to boom. No, these is the potential building blocks of the new society, but it's also the prime arenas for confrontation and class conflict. And we hope that through those confrontations, we can develop a common interest, because we all have a common interest in providing for our needs, providing for having a healthy relationship with nature. That sounds greasy. But I mean, this should be in everybody's interest. It's something we must develop. Yeah.
Well said. To piggyback, so there's this question. I'm interested in how you understand bringing about the Popular Assembly as a fighting unit, because it seems to me that that's, you understand, that I'm trying to tease out your program as much as possible. And so the Popular Assembly is like this political fighting unit. And I mean, could you talk about, the extent to which, I mean, you say there are, on the one hand, yes, we do have common interests, and then there's also not common interests. I mean, there is conflict. So, in what way do you sort of see yourself navigating this toward emancipation?
By having a program, by clarifying. I mean, our responsibilities as leftists or even citizens, I think it's dual. It's both toward the future society and this society in a sense. And by that I mean, as radicals, as left-wing, as activists, we have, particularly as social colleges who advance this assembly democracy, we have a responsibility to those assemblies. Saying that yes, they have their integrity. We don't want them just to be fighting units the way you formulated it. It's not just what's it? When you're using a proxy organization, can I say that? It's not just a proxy organization for the community. So, but still, communalists or social ecologists within those assemblies need to take the fight against. There you'll meet Christian Democrats, you'll meet Tories if you're any, and you'll meet all kinds of groups and interests. I'm not just speaking here about those, vested interests or the property interests or so, which is definitely real. But we think that they can become arenas for these fights. But we need to enter that arena with an identity and a purpose, and it's not an end goal to itself that you have a direct democracy. It's what I try to kind of convey in the political vision is that it's part of the whole program, the whole vision of the society, in which we can relate to each other as fellow human beings, as citizens, and develop common identities, which we don't always have today, and not that mistaken. But the programmatic approach, where we say, we explain to people, we want direct democracy, and then we go to see the minimal issues where we can say, we can have elections for we can divide the municipality into private courts. The courts are there, so we make them into political units. And then we say, but we don't have to elect the parties in general. We can say that each of the wards have elected representatives. So we can say that the election every second year, or that there are other minor things that needs to be connected to this larger vision of a fully democratic society, and that's how it's supposed to kind of advance. And we have the obligation to point to the fact that we need to compensate, society needs to compensate for individuals that do not have the same opportunities for participation. Integrate a social freedom where everybody, and not just rich white lawyers or something like the stereotype, can participate and be very articulate and make their case get through.
I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about the particular existing features of municipalities, or the municipality that makes it a desirable site for this kind of organizing. Because I think I agree with you, and I work in the labor movement, and we're very guilty of just organizing our members on the shop floor, when my sense is they're already like deeply implicated in their communities, but maybe in a apolitical way. So my sense is that there's all this organizing that actually exists in the municipality, and that it is a very rich setting for political activity. So could you just sort of speak to what particular existing features of the municipality make it such a productive or potentially productive site for something?
I think that the most salient feature is that there are potential direct democracies. It's easy to see how you can make the administration and the political leadership of the community or of the municipality be taken to terms now, to stand responsible to the community, to find ways of binding them to the people who elect them or to the community in large. So I think that's the basic point, is that it does have a potentiality that you don't have in, say, on a nationwide scale, or even on a block scale, which because you don't have you wouldn't create a direct democracy in any meaningful sense if it was just your house, one loose birthplace or one loose. I'd like to address one thing more, because our insistence on municipalities and municipal control, it is not to downplay workers' control or things like that. But the point is, it comes down to who has the actual power over the decisions. Not just the day-to-day decision, but what should be produced, how much should be produced, how should it be produced, and what sense does it make ecologically and so on. I think that this is concerns that concern people abroad. So what we want to do is to say that by having the municipalities is to say making a way of connecting the social movements. We believe in the need for social movements, for creating a workplace organization, but we try to provide some kind of a focal center. And I think it's easy to imagine this, because when we're talking about the existing features of municipalities, the municipalities, they differ, they vary so greatly in size, in cultural traditions. In Scandinavia, we mostly have a great opportunity for implementing these things with very strong local democracy traditions, relatively strong consciousness about those things. The situation in New York or Chicago would give us, which is still a municipality, would give us a totally different set of problems or challenges. So I think that the municipalism is trying to find that scale which is not too small and not too big, which can provide common interest, but at the same time be an arena of conflict, not necessarily of conflict and competition, but this kind of what's it called, when ideas clash together all the time. Like to stimulate discussion, to stimulate and disagreement is good. It's not something we should cover over or I'm not very strong view I believe in disagreements. I think it's for a society will develop. I'm not sure if I answered it because we can be more specific about the details of the specific community, but
So forgive me if I misunderstood, but I think my understanding from what you're saying is that you're not, unlike perhaps more traditional leftist organizations, you're not seeking to take power in that sense, more working on the municipality scale. In an environment to which the capitalist state as such still exists, what is it in your program, or what ideas have you thought of preventing these municipalities, when they do exist, from being, as it were, reabsorbed back into the system or smothered at the cradle, if in fact the overall environment which you're seeking to differentiate yourself from is ever present?
Yes. The system is ever present, and it's hard to argue for the fact that the municipalities are like in a very good independent position from the nation state, or very in a different relation to capitalism. I mean, it's hard to argue that, and not very fruitful. How to prevent? I mean, what we're trying to do is to provide that kind of basic political framework, and we're power hungry, we're power thirsty. We believe in power. We believe that the municipality should have power. So we would struggle to draw power down to the municipalities and then share it equally among people who live there. So those, and in that order, and we power thirsty is kind of, but there's so much talk about changing the way we are taking power and so on. I think it's ridiculous. I think the quest for power is essential. If you want to reclaim democracy or society, you need to have the power to do that. I think that what we need to do is to create powerful institutions. The good thing is that everybody is rooted in municipalities. And what we hope to do is kind of like undermine the state. No revolution ever happened without both the when people, it didn't crumble until people stopped fighting for or defending the state. Either it's the French king or the Russian Tsar. And we believe that we should develop at the local or regional or even interregional, like these parallel institutions, where we will fight to get constitutional changes in order to confront the issues of property, of production, of security and defense, all those things, which hopefully would make the municipalities strong enough so that nobody will be there to fight for the nation state. Yeah. It sounds naive, but the point is we're not naive regarding power, but we believe that this all comes out a little schematic, but the idea is to empower municipalities in all relevant ways and then share power among citizens. And we don't have any guarantees that it will be crushed or whatever.
I just wanted to go back to where you started, kind of your vision or program in terms of the municipality being a building block. And it may be in this conception of building block, but it's way up in the building and the structure. And your analysis and vision, what's totally absent is that these building blocks, including the nation, exist on a whole foundation, a global system of capitalism and materialism, including with the vast amounts of exploitation, sweatshops, child labor, and all the carnage that goes with enforcing that. And I'm not speaking to the particular role that Norway plays in that, and certain states don't play as direct role militarily, or more or less suck out of a straw that's held in place by the militaries of the U.S. and others, but nonetheless it's integrated into that global system. And to talk about kind of democratizing this one building block, again, high up on the structure, the degree it's successful, would amount to communizing the spoils of this overall global system of exploitation. And you didn't talk about the global system, but exploitation relations. And then more likely, and echoing that, what he said, these alternatives, if they don't uproot the basic economics and politics, including the state power, do repeatedly get absorbed or get marginalized or that. And it's not, you got to get to the question of what is the problem in the world and in these societies, and what's the solution, and develop a certain vision of alternative short of confronting that. And particularly for us, to look at to look at the world system and what it rests on, that then the whole vision is actually going to be seen with certain kinds of chauvinism, national chauvinism, from literally countries that are on top of that global vision, higher up on that structure. So
why would you believe that direct democracy or community control or so is less important for people that doesn't just suck from the sword? I don't understand what the argument is. I mean, if it's about the fact that we're facing a very, very forceful, dynamic political and economic system that is capable of absorbing almost all kinds of opposition and resistance. I mean, its power is immense. I mean, but I don't get what the alternative would be. I mean, why would this somehow represent something very high on top of the? I don't get why wouldn't this be able to? And there's two questions. Why wouldn't this be able to confront capital? And what other institutions or movements or projects would be able to do so? If there is one thing those things speak to, I think, is precisely the common humanity. It not in a naive way, but secularism. Municipalities exist everywhere, and communities exist everywhere, and the way of we try to suggest that communities and regions take back economic control as well as cultural control, for that matter. I don't. I mean, non-hierarchy or democracy or socialism should be as important to anyone around here. I don't see the chauvinism here.
Well, if I can just briefly, both on one level, it's important. Again, we're trying to make changes that's integrated deeply into this whole global exploitation, or even the worst conditions in the imperialist countries are. It's much worse around in the rest of the world, and that is where the wealth is sucked out of. And so not to look at, but to train people in a sense of internationalism, that our lives, if you're speaking of the United States or nowhere, are no more important than lives of people others, but also concretely how these systems and societies are based on the exploitation without speaking to that. And secondly, they are integrated into it, and just there wasn't. And also, just one other thing is the escalating environmental catastrophe is not going to be solved municipality by municipality. You need revolution, and these revolutions where there are new social states set up, that's a big part of it is contributing to the further advance of revolution around the world, as you're not going to be able to meet the environmental catastrophes, but you can't solve these problems in a municipality or even in one country. And yeah, it just seems like your whole analysis is how to kind of develop an alternative within a municipality, within a nation state, without speaking at all of how that nation state exists based on wealth funded from the rest of the world.
I don't get your point in seeing that.
You need a revolution to get rid of and then change the position of whether of these capitalist countries in the global order. And the United States would mean immediately break off the situation where you're exploiting the world, shutting down 700 military bases.
I don't see that this is an argument against my position at all. I don't.
Well, so I have a question, which maybe you think is it's somewhat different than your question, but I think it's related. So the way I understand your program, and then we'll get to the other question. So the way that I understand your program, one of the things is navigating local electoral politics so that you can shift power to the local level. Okay. So I guess how is that related to broader utopian projects, especially because institutional distinctions themselves are not necessarily political. You could imagine right-wing democracy, right-wing politics, right-wing local governance. And I think what his question was you can imagine these local democratic institutions just as exploitative. You could also imagine them being fascist. So in what sense, so do you want to what do you make of that problem?
I think it's a problem that persists regardless of how exactly just how we formulate our political project. We formulate this project because we think that this is the one who has the greatest potentiality for mobilizing people into believing and fighting for a socialism for the coming centuries. And I don't see that this would be an argument, say, for this argument. It could be the same for trade unions or workplaces. Yes, you can have very reactionary attitudes, you can have very reactionary policies in this. But what we want to do is try to make those forums a place for social movements, for people who believe in human rights, who believe in fighting the exploitation of the First World War, to call it. And to kind of create an arena that would become both the power center, but also an arena where those issues can be discussed. And I think it's funny. It's not funny. I just the New England town meetings was not exactly a radical body always. They now voted against importing the oil from the tar sands, yes, in Alberta. And yes, we can easily imagine that popular assemblies, popular institutions, or any kind of social movement would make the wrong decisions. But what is the alternative? That's where you have to be. That's where you have to be too. I mean, in those movements, in those institutions, fighting for what you believe is right. I believe that is the only alternative.
So what like at the local level?
Confronting sweatshop issues or child labor or imperialism. I mean,
so to press on that, at the local level, taking certain ecological positions or positions against sweatshops internationally, in what way is this connected to, I guess, broader, to utopia? In what way? Because there's this question of local power, and you rightly, I think that there's the thing that we're bouncing back and forth is the way in which local power itself is kind of could go either way. Maybe you disagree with that.
No,
or not. But if that's the case, then what is your program for local power?
We do not believe in localism. We don't believe in local power. We don't believe in a popular assembly or a municipality as such. Our alternative is confederation. We believe that a confederal structure based on unions, on municipalities, will function not only on a regional level under the nation states of today, but also on an international level. And we believe that those units will be the vehicles that could potentially challenge capitalism. I don't see what the alternatives is if you don't want to use the nation state as it is, or suppose that they define worker state in its place. But there may be alternatives, and I think that yes, they either have to be structured around some kind of syndicalism, some kind of council communism, or some kind of municipalism. That's the only anti-state alternatives we have. But again, I just want to press it. Confederation is a real alternative, not municipality.
I actually would like to ask you a question about that other side of the confederation of councils. Which I understood to be focused on a particular issue or a particular question or a particular shared resource or something like that. And if I'm wrong about that, please correct me. But, and this is something that I think about a lot when I think about how shared resources could be utilized in a future better society, transitioning to an even better society, I don't know, whatever. How do you think about the question of expertise and experts as opposed to the desires and intentions of other people? Because even in the best world, not everybody's going to be an electrical engineer and an environmental engineer. And not everybody's going to know all these things. So, how does one solve or deal with that problem of not making politics a technocratic game as it is increasingly today?
I think that's a very good question in two important senses. Because it can both help illuminate what we mean by confederation. And the confederation is, what I said, is that it would sharply distinguish between those delegates. We believe that there is permanent bodies, but that people there will not be the one to make political decision-making, policy decision-making. That will be coordinated. They will have coordinated and administrative function. It's not like, just to give a rough example, it's not unlike most states or municipalities are run today, where you have the bureaucracy on the one hand, and then you have the government with politicians on the other hand. We want to put politicians into the popular assemblies, and then we make the bureaucracy will be higher levels of coordination. So that's the one side of it. The other side is that what to do with experts. We don't all know everything. No, that's exactly the point with confederation. It means that you say that there are important things that could be administrated or advised, advisors on specific issues. So what we want to do is to place them under popular control, so to speak, like the administration is today for politicians. Like this, there are varying practices from country to country down here, and also how successful they are. But the idea is how to, if you want to develop something, say a hospital. Okay, all these examples get so it gets easily said, but I would. If you want to develop a hospital, you can ask the people who architects and so on to draw a model, others to draw possible plans. You can even have two committees setting up various plans for where to put the hospital and how to organize it. And you choose, or you say, oh, we need another plan. This is not good enough. It's not like today, but the point is today experts get far too much say. And I believe that on important issues, there should be experts definitely, but there should also be a civic element. And many of our schools are run by councils, like you have 5 pedagogists, is that what it's called? Pedagogues and 5 parents. And I think that ways to organize this, it's so easy to think of a number of varying ways to find satisfactory or more or less satisfactory ways of kind of having an interaction, but what we want to insist on is that the popular assembly retains the power. The final decision of the power is to be in the popular assembly. And by that, we don't mean to have 12-hour long meetings in how a hospital should be designed or whether we should be having this or that. Most of the discussion should be going on maybe in like forums like this, or on the street corners, or in the lunch table, or in the kindergarten. I mean, all over. And then you have the meetings to take decisions. I'm not a meeting fetishist. I don't believe that people want to spend most of their lives in meetings. But the important thing is that the final decision is made here. And there's an important parallel here, because what about workers' control? We're not against workers' control, but when we're talking about workers' power, we want to empower workers as citizens and in a communal sphere. And now this is not about how to organize against capitalism, but I mean, in a future society, we want to say that yeah, workers will administrate running of their work of the factories or schools and so on, but the final say has to reside in the hands of the people, or where workers are members. It kind of points to the same parallel, or the same structure between distinction between administration and policy making.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's sort of picking up on some like that point, and also the point that over here is been making. It's I agree with you to a considerable extent that the level of, particularly in Britain where I live, the level of centralisation of power in Westminster is kind of just obviously absurd and irrational. And any future society would have to have a lot more kind of local, a lot more decisions taken at local level. The result is that basically councils exist for corruption. There's no other reason for them to exist, like jobs for the boys and everything. But the problem, well, I don't see how it's feasible to invest in that sense complete sovereign power in a local popular assembly or a local council or municipal authority, simply because you cannot have control over production at that level. Like, the level of technology we know, we're sitting in this room, and I suspect that different bits of furniture around the room would be, come from all over the globe, probably, be extracted in various exploited ways. But in a sense, that's besides the point. The point is that the copper for that pipe, unless there is a copper mine directly underneath Chicago, cannot come from around here. So decisions about the broad strokes of production have to be taken at a broader level. It seems to me that handing this over to a kind of administrative confederacy in order to make sure the power is taken at a kind of direct level, actually, it seems to me that you're handing over a lot more power to an administrative bureaucracy than you perhaps think. So I wouldn't, throw out representative democracy, quote unquote, on the basis that it's hardly an attractive option in this situation. I mean, the fact is, Barack Obama represents nobody except himself and people who gave him lots of money. That's not representative democracy on that level. I think you do need to have some sort of sovereign political authority, indeed on kind of international level at this point. Simply, not just fix that battle of environmental crisis and so on, but also simply for the producing the most mundane things. You're already dealing with a kind of large division of labour that just means the power will necessarily lie outside of the kind of municipal basis. That's not to say that you shouldn't devolve power, but I think you have to be kind of sanguine about what you can do there, and I wouldn't want to have a kind of administrative body with no political decision-making authority, because that simply will end up as a bureaucracy with more power than the assemblies anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's an argument against whether that like kind of like a caveat warning or something like that. I'm not sure, but if it's an argument against me, I would just say that I disagree.
Okay.
I think we need to really think about how those things are structured, and I think that you may be right, but that's a challenge, not to give too much power into those regional units. And I think that I think it can be solved, but whether we can discuss just how, and I think that it's also, I'm not saying that we should at no point centralize or to make some decisions for a certain period of time or in a certain area, but I think we should do it as little as possible and just for long as possible. But sometimes, yeah, particularly in a time of civil war or conflict or revolution, it's just you're just dealing with a totally different situation. So I'm not totally excluding that. I think that our responsibility is to focus on. Yeah.
Following up on that question, you're talking about the utopia side you want. It's not localist. You want to have these relations with the municipality section. My question is, these relations between different municipalities, in the way they trade goods, in the way they get power and so forth, do they use money in buying and selling? If they do use money in buying and selling, aren't they subject to the laws of the market, no matter what the local municipality decides and happily influence what the laws of the market say? If they're not using money in buying and selling, what is it that they're using for exchange between the municipalities?
Just to clarify, this is going to be the last question.
Is it also my final comment?
And you can answer that and then
Makes it more something. I think it's a good question. We come, although we're not anarchists, we come from the anarchist communist tradition. That's the background. I believe that the most rational way of organizing the economy is to politicize it fully and to take it away from the market, from using money. Or I believe that people we advance what we call moral economy, or we want to put morality or ethics in the I'm saying privacy for the second time, I think, but we want really to put those to make the ethical. Now, what does that mean? That means that on our program, or where I'm active, I would fight for the fact that you should remunerate athletes. You do to each according to his or her needs and from each and so on. I believe that not only individually but also on an interregional level or so, so that the communities have an obligation to support the less materially fortunate ones. But that's part of the program, and I think that just like the challenges we face, even if we were advancing a worker state production model or some kind of a nationalization of production and distribution, I think we face the same problems if we want a more regionalized production. And those are struggles that needs to be fought. But I think that ultimately it will lead to some kind of a conflict and a rupture. Just how, I don't know, but we're totally different. Perspectives needs to be put as an alternative to the market economy, to that way of did I answer?
Will there be money exchange or you have planning places
well, to put it simply, we believe in planned economy, but it's a decentralized planned economy, and that based on the distinction we make between municipality and confederation and power and administration. So, yeah, we believe that for ecological concerns and for social concerns. But this is part of the program. It's like, I believe that there are lots of challenges we face by just being active today within our communities, within our regions, within social movements or so. We face these challenges all the time, and I don't think that they will be any less pressing or but not any more pressing either from a municipalist approach. I think these are challenges we face in trying to supplant the existing market economy, its guiding ethos and the nation state with a new kind of popular government. We will definitely face a whole bunch of problems, but I don't see that it's particularly hard or particularly a particularly impossible challenge for this municipalist approach, I think.
Okay, great. So let's take the next set of panels starting in 20 minutes and continue the conversation. And also Eric is speaking on the plenary. Nice. So thank you very much.
And please check out the journals, and you can take the journals, and if you like some of the books, we can just contact me.